Now tuned into the greatest.
What's up, everyone? I want to thank you for joining me for a new episode of the Supreme Conversation. And I want to extend an elated Happy New Year's to each and everyone that's joining in and listening. Now, today's conversation is something that I'm going to revisit. And what I mean by revisiting is one that I kind of touched on maybe a few weeks back. But the title of today's episode is going to be Man Only Has the Rights He Can Defend. Now, looking at that, even when I wrote it, I don't think it is the correct title. Simply because when you look at the object of our judicial system, it's not about justice. It's about revenue generation. And you look at the amount of plea bargaining that goes in, which brings me back to one of the best movies I had ever seen, which is Roman J. Israel Esquire, played by Denzel Washington. The whole premise of the movie was talking about the right to a fair trial. And that actually got me thinking about where I first heard man only has the rights he can defend. And it was from an old Law and Order episode. So when you kind of think about it, and you look at 95% of all cases never go to a judge or jury. That's a huge number. 95% of people would rather either do time or spend money for convenience. This is why I had kind of a pause with the title, because it should read, man only has the rights he will defend. Because 5% of those that have court issues actually go to trial. And out of that 5% that actually go to trial, more than 70% of them win. If that amount is winning, why do not more people go? And I'm going to tell you why. Convenience and fear. Because when you are so used to losing, when you are so used to understanding that the system is twisted against you, when you're so used to being beat down, and you get to the point to where you see it on TV, you hear it on the radio, you're watching it unfold in front of you, and you look at the injustice and you accept it as okay, or even the most dangerous thing, something that is normal. Now, the brain remembers two things: pleasure and pain. And generally, when somebody has to do something that deals with the legal system, that's not a pleasurable moment. It is something that you know is going to be long. It's going to be drawn out. And we've gone to a nation where, just for lack of a better term or even wording, is something I actually have to go back to I call him Pops, C.T. Fletcher. And the one thing he says that I actually live my life by is I will not contribute to the pussification of the nation. Because when you're doing things just for convenience, when you're doing things and accepting them as the norm just because, you are allowing someone else to dictate to you what you are allowed to do, when it's not their job to dictate anything to you. It is not their job to tell you what you can and can't do. Their job is to make sure your rights are protected and not infringed upon. And if there are, they are to act. That is it. But that is not what we're doing. We're using these as aspects or tools for money. and people are afraid to lose their money. And you look at the minority of the 5% that fight, that are confrontational, that welcome going to court, that welcome picking Wadir, that welcome making them prove what you were thinking, or even making them prove that you actually committed a crime, or there was actually a crime committed. Because I have something that I'm going to talk about on tomorrow, and it deals with DUI stops. And it's something that I heard while out on vacation. And it's one of those things that I kind of chuckled at whenever I first heard it, because I could not believe it was something that was real. And the fact is, it was something that I heard from a lawyer who is not known for fighting. I'm going to say that one more time. It came from a lawyer that is not known for fighting. He is known for plea bargaining. So he is known for being part of the system, but he gave out a nugget that I don't even think he understood that he gave out, because I definitely don't believe it was intentional. Or he's hoping, like most people, that people that did watch him or hear him was not paying it any attention. Because most people don't understand the power of words. And the aspect of the words that he used were very powerful, because it allowed people that want to go in that 5% to protect their rights and become the men that will fight, will defend. And I hate to think about it in the aspect of, what if we're looking at a small percentage of 5% of all cases actually go to a judge or a jury? Just imagine, could you imagine the revenue dent if that 5%, they took one person that was dealing with the legal system and they actually went to trial? Could you imagine the number of cases that would be lost by the prosecution? Could you imagine the number of revenue that is lost? Because now, instead of 5 people, or 5 out of 100 going, you have 10 out of 100. Well, it's still a small number, but it doubled what was going out before. That to me is also something I'm going to touch on. But that to me is what criminal justice reform is. Understanding your rights, asserting your rights, protecting your rights, defending your rights, and not relying on anybody else to give you an okay to be human. That's all I got for right now. I appreciate you guys. Hit like on the channel, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow. And watch out for the lives. They're going to be scheduled.